In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to create this purse organizer. This pattern is called JT Purse Organizer, and this organizer features two larger slip packets on the front, three smaller packets on the back, and the smaller packet fits your eyeglasses or sunglasses. Inside you're gonna have additional 5 packets, so you're gonna have 3 smaller packets on that side and 2 larger packets on this side. I like the bigger packets because you can have your grocery bags nicely stored inside, so when you go shopping you are ready. You don't have to rely on the plastic bags from the grocery store. Also, I added this secure strap with the swivel clasp, so you can clip your keys or any other valuable items you would like to store in your organizer to make sure that it's going to be nicely secured. This pattern will be available at a discount in my Etsy store for a week from the date of the premiere of this video. If you would like to purchase this pattern at a discount, please make sure to join my Facebook group. The link to the Facebook group is posted in the description box below. Also, in the description box below you will find the link to the Etsy store where you can purchase the pattern. On the Etsy listing, you're going to be able to review all the supplies needed for the project before you decide to buy it. This project doesn't involve much hardware, so as long as you have some fabric, and actually I used a couple fat quarters because they are perfect size for the measurement of the project, and some waterproof canvas, you should be good to go. If you don't have to make the strap or attach the swivel clasp, this is optional. So if you are just looking for a project that needs only fabric, you can skip the strap itself. As you can see, you can also customize this project. This one is a little bit shallower, so I make the box corners smaller. This one has the box corners larger, so it's a little deeper. So that's up to you. What do you prefer? If you have a purse that is slimmer, so the slimmer version will fits better. That's something I'm gonna walk you through in the video, but if you like a larger, just make sure you're gonna enlarge the box corners while you're on that step. If you like my videos and my patterns and you would like me to create more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and to give the video a like. And now, if you would like to see me creating this version of the purse organizer, please keep watching. To start our project, you're gonna prep all the pattern pieces needed to complete our purse organizer. So you're gonna cut the strap for the inside clip, the fabric for the inside pocket of our organizer, the front pocket panel, and that front panel will be interface. I'm using a Sew Fuse Plus. You can use the Decovi Light or anything that you have on hand. If you have SF101, maybe you can double it and just making sure it's pretty sturdy. This is a lining for our front of our organizer for that front pocket, and our fabric, which I'm using waterproof canvas because it offers some stability. I don't have to interface it, so that part's gonna be the main panel of our purse organizer. Also, we'll need a little swivel clasp. This is 1/2 inch swivel clasp. This is optional. If you want to add the little clip inside your organizer, you'll need that along with the set of rivets. Also, you would need a coordinating thread for your project. I'm using polyester thread. It's a Gutermann Mera 70. To start our project, we're gonna work on prepping our inside of the organizer elements. So you're gonna take the piece of fabric that you cut for your strap, you're gonna take it to your ironing board and you're gonna fold it in half lengthwise. Then you're gonna fold the raw edges to meet where the crease is created, and then fold in half again to create a nice clean finish on both edges. When you have that prepped, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna top stitch along both long edges with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Also at the same time, we're gonna prep our inside pocket. So you're gonna fold the panel right sides together lengthwise. You're gonna secure that with clips. When you have that piece prepped like that, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew along this edge with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length, and make sure you back stitch on the beginning and on the end of the seam. I have my strap top stitched and my inside pocket sewn, so I'm gonna work on finishing up my clasp strap. I'm gonna put the clasp on, fold the strap in half, and now you can take it to the machine and you can secure the clasp so it doesn't move along the strap, or you can use a rivet, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna punch a hole around 1/2 inch away from the fold in the middle. And secure it with the rivet. So now my strap is ready to go. I'm just gonna put it aside until I need it. And I'm gonna finish up our pocket. So you wanna turn the pocket right side out. You wanna press it. So I'm gonna take it to my ironing board and press it. I want to make sure that my top edge is nicely pressed, because I'm gonna top stitch along the top edge all the way through with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length, and that's gonna conclude the prep for our inside pocket. So I top stitched my pocket on the folded edge of the panel, so now I can put it aside and start my work on the front pocket. You're gonna take the panel from the front pocket that you lined, and you're gonna place it right side up. Take the lining panel for the front pocket and align the long edges of both right sides together. Secure that with clips. When you have that clip together, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew along this long edge with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. When you have the panel sewn, you're gonna fold the lining so it lays nicely behind your front pocket panel. You can press it with the iron to give it a nice crisp edge, and then you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna top stitch along this edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that you have your front pocket top stitch, you're gonna flip the panel so the right side of the lining is facing up, and you're gonna take the main body panel of the organizer and align one of the long edges with the unsewn open edge of the lining. You want to make sure that both fabrics are right sides together. Secure that with clips. When you have that secure with clips, take it to the machine and sew along this long edge with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. When you have the long edge sewn to the main panel, you're gonna open the project. You want to put it the right way up because that's gonna be our front. So you're gonna open your project. You're gonna press your lining, making sure the waterproof canvas seam allowance is behind the lining. You can finger press it or take it to your iron. And when you have that pressed, you're gonna top stitch on the lining side of the panel with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. So we are top stitching on the lining side of our project. Now that your lining is top stitched to the main panel, we're gonna finish up our front pocket. You're gonna bring the front pocket panel and overlap the lining by about 1/2 inch over the lining attached to the main panel. So you want to overlap your pocket by 1/2 inch. Repeat that on the other side. When you have your pocket clipped to the sides, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna baste on both sides of the project. Now that I have basted the sides of my pocket, I'm gonna work on dividing my pockets. I like to have 2 pockets on one side and 3 smaller pockets on the other side. So first I'm gonna find the middle of my unit. So you can just press it with your fingers and that should create a crease. Now I can see my middle, so I want to just mark it with pen. And now I'm gonna use this point to establish where is the middle of my organizer and how to divide the front of my organizer into 3 pockets. I know I have to account for a 1/2 inch seam allowance on their side, so I'm gonna fold my panel 1/2 inch over the mid mark and yet again press it with my fingers, and this way I'm gonna have my middle mark. This can be completely customized, so you can choose to just divide this side into 2 as well, or you can divide it in 3. So you can create as many packets as you want. You can even create a really slim packet for a pen. I'm gonna divide this back part of my organizers into 3 parts. So to do that, I'm just gonna first fold this part by 1/2 inch inside and then try to fold the rest into 3 equal parts and press with my fingers, and now I can see 2 creased lines here, and I know that that should be around equal 3 parts. And that's how we're gonna divide our pockets. My recommendation is to actually pin those layers together through the lining, so when we are gonna sew our seam to divide our pockets, the lining is not gonna shift up. So you can do that. If you are comfortable sewing the dividing lines, just referring to the position of the pins, you can do that. Or you can use a erasable marker to mark those lines. That's what I'm gonna do, just to make sure I'm gonna have nice and straight lines. Now that you have your panel all marked, you're gonna take it to the machine, and starting with the middle divider, you're gonna top stitch from the bottom edge of the panel with the 3.5 stitch length. You're gonna go up. Here you're gonna return, and you make sure you're gonna go back a couple times, so you're gonna just go forward and back 1 stitch length to make sure that this top stitch is strong. And you're gonna come back down about 1/8 of an inch away from the initial seam. So you want to make sure that your mark is in between those two seams. So the distance between those two seams should be 1/8 of an inch, and you're going to be sewing 1/16 of an inch from the mark line. When you have the middle part splitted, then you can move on to splitting the rest of your pockets. So just repeat the same technique, making sure you backstitch on the top of each pocket divider to make sure that that top stitch is strong. Now my pockets are divided, so the outside of my purse organizer is done. Now I'm gonna work on the inside pockets. To do that, I'm gonna fold my whole unit in half and finger press it, so I'm creating a crease when my top of my organizer gonna be. Having the crease gonna be helpful with establishing the placement of my inside pocket. So I'm gonna take the inside pocket panel, and I'm gonna place it at least 2 inches above my long edge of the main panel. That's going to be the bottom inside of the organizer. So I'm just want to make sure that that's consistent. So this is 2 inches, 2 inches, and 2 inches. And when you have the placement done, you're gonna secure that with pins. Also a note to keep in mind: if you are using a directional fabric, make sure that your print is facing up this way. That's where the top of our pocket is gonna be. So I am using a directional fabric with the flowers, so I want to make sure that my flowers are going up, not down. So that's something to keep in mind. Now that you have your pocket pinned, and you can also secure the sides, you're gonna take this to the machine, and you're gonna sew along the side edges and along the bottom edge of the pocket panel with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. This way we're gonna attach the bottom of our pocket to our main body panel. Now that the pocket panel is attached to our main body panel, we're gonna split our pockets, and you can really do whatever best suits you. I'm gonna repeat what I did on the outside of the back, but I'm gonna swap it. So I'm gonna make 2 pockets on this side and 3 pockets on the left side. When you have your pocket all marked with your split lines, you're gonna repeat what we did on the front side of the project. So we're gonna now top stitch all our dividing lines with the double top stitch. And this time just start from the beginning of the pocket, go back, back stitch on the top stitch of the pocket divider and come back down. And repeat it all 4 splits, starting again with the middle of your project. So all our pockets are now divided. We have to remember now to attach our prepped little swivel clasp. We want to make sure that it's on the inside part of our organizer. So just clip it about an inch above your inside pocket. That still should mean that it's gonna be inside of your organizer. When you have that placed, take it to the machine and base it in place. Just making sure you're just basting it to one side of your main panel. So after your strap is based to your main panel, just secure it with a pin so it's not going to be tangled and caught in a seam. Now it's nice and secure, and now we're going to work on our main side seam. So what you want to do, you want to fold your panel in half, and you want to align the outside pocket. That's the important part because you're gonna see it. It's gonna be outside of your organizer, so you want to make sure that those 2 sides of the pocket align and clip it in place. Do the same with the inside pocket. Make sure that the top of the pocket meets the other side, and now continue clipping the whole edge together. When you have that clipped, take it to the machine and sew along this edge with a 1/2 inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length to connect our main panel. When you have the side seam completed, now we're gonna work on our buttons, the bottom of the inside of the back and outside of the back. So you're gonna take the outside of your back and clip that edge together, and do the same with the inside part of your organizer. On the inside, you want to remember to leave an opening that we're gonna turn our back right side out through. So we're gonna mark an opening that is about 6 inches. Well, it's 6 inches exactly. So you want to make sure that on the outside pocket panel, where you're gonna sew all the way through with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length. But on the inside, the waterproof canvas side of the project, you're gonna sew only from the edge to the pin. Make sure to back stitch well here, And the same thing here, start on the pin, backstitch well, and continue your seam to the edge. So with the same seam allowance, which is 3/8 of an inch and 2.5 stitch length. Now that our outside bottom is sewn and our inside is sewn on the bottom with the turning opening left, we're gonna work on boxing our corners. So you want to take a ruler, and from the side, when you have seams on both the bottom and the side, you're gonna measure from the seams, and you can adjust this measurement. I'm making corners that are 3/4 of an inch in depth on both sides, so just mark that. Over here where I do not have a seam, I'm gonna measure 3/4 of an inch from the edge and measure 3/4 of an inch from the seam. On the lining part, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna measure 3/8 of an inch from both seams on this side. And on this side, I'm gonna measure from the edge and from the seam line. Now that I have all my corners marked, I'm gonna cut them out. When you have your corners cut out, we're gonna prep boxing of them. So you're gonna open the corner and clip it around the cut edge and on the side. Repeat with all the corners. You want to make sure that if you are folding the seam allowances in the same direction, so if I fold the seam allowances towards the right side on this corner, I want to make sure I repeat it on the opposite side. So now that you have all your corners clipped and ready to be boxed, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna sew all 4 corners with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length, and make sure to backstitch on the beginning and on the end of the seam real well. Now that all the corners are boxed, it's time to turn our project right side out. Just when you do that, keep in mind the pin that you may have attached to your strap, so don't poke yourself. And now take the inside part and place it inside of your organizer. Make sure that the box corners of the inside of the organizer are nicely in the outside corners and pull on your fabric to find the place where you're gonna have the top edge of your organizer. Repeat that on the other side. So now that you have that place inside, your pockets are sitting nicely, your little clasp, it's attached sturdy to the side. We can press our project to crease the top part of our organizer. You can also use pins to hold the placement, because we're gonna take it to the machine and we're gonna stitch, top stitch all around. So you wanna make sure that nothing shifts while you sewing your top edge. So when you inspected everything and everything looks good to you, there's not a wonky top, everything looks nice and straight, you're gonna take it to the machine and you're gonna top stitch all around your top edge with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and 3.5 stitch length. Now that your top edge is now top stitch all around, the last thing to do is to close our lining. So you want to take the lining out, pull on the seam for the row edges to fold inside, and you can also secure it with pins or clips, making sure your edges align nicely, because we're gonna have a really tiny seam allowance, so you want to make sure that you're catching both sides of your opening. When you have that prepped, take it to the machine and sew along this edge with the 1/16 of an inch seam allowance and 2.5 stitch length to close the opening in the bottom of our lining. I closed the opening in my lining. Now I'm gonna place it back inside of my organizer. Make sure that all the corners are nesting nicely. So now all I need to do is just give my project a bit of a press and my back on the organizer is done. The project is now completed. I have my purse organizer good to go. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you're gonna give the project a try, please make sure to tag me on social media. The Facebook group and the Instagram links are in the description box below. If you don't want to miss any future tutorials, please make sure to subscribe and to press the notification bell. Till the next time.